In this video, I want to look at the presentation engines that are available in FactoryTalk Optix. And by default, when you create a FactoryTalk Optix project in Studio, this native presentation engine is already there underneath the UI or user interface folder. And the native presentation engine is essentially the HMI piece of it. So if you wanted to display the HMI elements locally here on this PC, then the native presentation engine is what would be basically running. So when you click on native presentation engine on the properties over here, we get some properties for it. There aren't too many things. One is the variable polling rate. You can adjust your variable polling rate, how fast you want to update the tags being read from the PLC. Text render type, you want to enable virtual keyboard, yes or no. Handy if you want to pop up a keyboard on the screen, especially for a touchscreen. If there's a particular login window you want to force a user to, you can define that. You can also set up what the starting window is and the starting user if there are multiple users, and a style sheet as well. By default, there is this default style sheet, and you can also see the default style sheet right here. If I go ahead and double click on that, we will see, or I should just say, I click on it to get the properties. The style sheet essentially lets us set up all of the kind of properties, such as the colors and fonts and styles of the application. I want to just take a moment here. If you go to the library up in Studio, and if you type in style sheet, you will find that there are some pre-developed style sheets that come. There's a friendly dark, friendly light mode, an ISA style sheet, as well as material dark. So if you wanted to, you could take one of these pre-built style sheets from the library and then basically click on it and drag it over here to the UI folder, and it will become available for you to reference. You can of course make your own custom style sheets as well. If you right click on UI and go to new, one of the things you can choose here is a style sheet. So anyway, we'll stick with the default style sheet for the native presentation engine. And that's pretty much it. And this is basically, by doing that, when I press my emulator button up top, that is what, it's still rendering here. There we go, finally. This is basically what gets created, right? This is the Optix HMI that is now running. I can close that. So if I wanted to, I could also create a web presentation engine, which would basically allow me to have web sessions or web clients into the Optix application. So to do that, we would right click on UI, say new, and we'll choose web presentation engine. And that gets created there. Over here in the properties, we see that there are some similar properties, such as, what is our dynamic variable polling rate? Which protocol do we want to use? Do we want to use HTTPS or HTTP? I'll choose HTTP for this demonstration. An IP address of the server, a port number, and I'm going to use 8443 for this example. You can define a host name for the PC. Maximum number of clients or connections that would be allowed. So right now it defaults to 1. You can increase that number. Perhaps I'll set mine to 2. Just note that if you were to use these web clients, they do take tokens. So having one concurrent web client would take 1 token. To have 2 or more would take additional tokens to unlock that ability. The other thing at the bottom is basically the same as the native. There's the login window, the start window, the starting user, and the default style sheet you want to use, as well as maybe some session information. So if you're looking for any additional references as to what all that means, if you go up here to the question mark and go to help, you will open up the help file. And if you go under graphic objects, there's a section for presentation engines, which basically gives us more information about the native and the web, as well as click down on configure, and it talks about what all of those settings in the property panel actually mean. So always refer to the help file there if you need some additional information on things. All right, so now with the web presentation engine, if I were to go ahead and start up the emulator one more time, this will basically open up the same native presentation engine like we just saw a moment ago. But if I come back to my Chrome browser, and if I type in, since I am sitting here on the local computer, I could just say localhost and then port 8443, and then here is my web session. All right, so just a really straightforward screen I have going here. I'm requiring us to log in to be able to see additional information. I just wanted to kind of show that basically the login is, passes through, of course, to the web session. Log in as user 2. When I log in as user 2, well, unit 2 information becomes available, and I can now kind of control it, and we can see on the overview screen that number is changing. If I come back to user, I can log out. If I were to come back to the native and go to users, I could log in as user 1. And now this unit 1 information is available in the native. Note that it is, of course, not available on the web client. So I can change my unit 1 value here on the native. And it will update on the overview screen, of course, but it doesn't allow me to go and control it on the web client. And just to show that, I said 2 concurrent connections. Back on my host laptop, I'm running Optix currently in a virtual machine. If I go back to my host laptop, here is an Edge session that is now basically, instead of typing in localhost, I typed in the IP address of my virtual machine. That's 192.168.86.40, and then the port 8443, and I get that same I get the overview screen, right? And I can once again log in here. I'm going to log in as user 3. User 3 has privilege to see both units, so he gets to see unit 1 and unit 2 and make the adjustments. All right, so got 2 concurrent web sessions going on, as well as a native presentation. So I'm going to shut this down, and when I do that, notice that the server unreachable is becomes shows up here in the screen. So I shut the server down. One more thing I want to show you is that you don't have to have the native presentation engine. We can actually delete the native presentation engine, and that would now make this Optix application a web client connection only. So if you wanted to run this on such as a headless PC, just a node PC or a box PC in the panel, you don't have to have a screen tied locally to your, to the panel. You can just interface it through the web engine. So to emulate that, I just essentially deleted the native presentation engine. I'm going to run the emulator one more time. This time we're not going to see anything as far as the HMI component. I have the emulator is running. See, this the stop button is visible. There is no little orange icon down here any longer that's showing the local native presentation engine running. But if I were to come back to my Edge browser, you can see that we now are getting numbers back again. And if I go to the Chrome here in the, if I go to the Chrome here in my virtual machine, I've got the web servers back up. And again, I can log in as a particular user. See if I type that right. Nope. Try one more time there. And we're back. Right. So we don't have to run the native presentation engine. We don't have to run a web presentation engine, but we have the ability to choose if we want to have a local, native HMI, so to speak, on the PC, or if we just want to serve up as web sessions or web clients from a headless PC.